Alrighty guys, it is Qaaman here today, and I figured that it was time for me to give you guys my top 10 Saitama moments from season 1 of One Punch Man. So without wasting any more time, let's get straight into this video. Coming in at number 10, we have Saitama eats Kombu Infinity in episode 6. What makes this moment awesome is the fact that it's both humorous and badass at the same time. After easily defeating the A-class Spring Mustache, Kombu sees a Saitama who is walking aimlessly around town with a grocery bag. Funny enough, we see later on that the scene cuts to Saitama actually cooking Kombu right after, which is pretty much seaweed. And I do think it's important to point out that there's a little bit of a disparity between the manga and the anime, as we see in the manga that Kombu Infinity was shown with the Kombu being ripped off of his head still being alive, whereas in the anime it's kind of implied that he was actually killed, considering the fact that there was a massive hole in the building and almost nothing left to show his body. Moving on to number 9, we have Saitama's scuffle with Geryon Ganshoop. After assaulting Boros' ship, Saitama runs into Geryon Ganshoop, one of his top henchmen, and through desperation, Geryon Ganshoop actually tries to kill Saitama by using the super telekinetic gravitational wave. After having no effect on Saitama, Geryon Ganshoop then tries to use his super telekinetic shower of rubble to then try and kill Saitama. And what makes this moment epic is the fact that not only did Saitama resist the power of a black hole, he actually manages to hold onto a small rock and split Geryon Ganshoop's head in half, criticizing him for only moving rocks around. And this shows what a badass Saitama actually is. Jumping to number 8, we have Saitama checkmates Sonic. Now, we have already seen throughout the series thus far that Sonic is pretty much the equivalent of Team Rocket, a recurring antagonist that poses no threat to Saitama. This time, however, Sonic learns this the hard way. After Saitama gives in to fighting Sonic, let's just say that a little accident occurred, and this moment displayed a sense of comedy as Saitama didn't even do what he did on purpose, but yet it caused so much pain. The visuals do all the talking. As we proceed to number 7, we have Saitama versus the Mosquitoes. Now, early on in episode 2, we see the amount of frustration that Saitama was dealing with the Mosquitoes itself. Later on, we learned that Mosquito Girl is actually controlling these mosquitoes and she's actually terrorizing the town, giving Genos a hard time. We then see an irritated Saitama put matters into his own hand. He literally destroys Mosquito Girl with an enormous slap and proceeds to say, "Mosquitoes suck." And the crazy thing about this scene is the fact that earlier Genos actually used a very powerful blast that actually destroys part of the city, and it had absolutely no effect on Saitama at all, only to singe his clothes. And this moment was a key factor into the development of Saitama and Genos as friends, so that's another reason why this is a memorable moment for Saitama himself. So let's slide on to number 6, where we have Saitama's dream sequence against the Subterraneans. In it, we get to see a figment of Saitama's imagination. During the dream, he takes on the Subterraneans who were attacking the surface due to overpopulation. We see a sense of passion and excitement, and the warrior's heart inside Saitama for getting a challenge in a fight where he actually manages to defeat all of the Subterraneans who outnumbered him, and he actually finally takes on the Subterranean King. This moment helped us get into the mind of Saitama himself. So you're probably wondering, why isn't this higher on the list, and why isn't it in the top 5? Well, Broly can answer that question for you.
It's just a dream!
Entering in our top 5, we have Saitama's fitness test. This moment was great because the others who were also competing got a chance to see Saitama shine. But the funniest part about it was the fact that despite how much Saitama dominated, he only received the grade of a C due to his low scoring written tests. Seeing his reaction was priceless, succeeding so much just to be lumped as mediocre. As we push away to number 4, we have Saitama killing the DeepSea King. Now, although this moment was the generic hero comes to save the day at the very last second, it didn't take away from the ending itself. With Moomin Rider and Genos out of commission, this was a moment where it actually seemed like the villain was a serious threat, especially with so many people watching in terror. And typical Saitama, he got bored of all of the chatter and killed the Sea King as soon as he tried to make a serious attack. But the key to what made this moment great is that despite disposing of the Sea King easily, Saitama gave the other heroes credit for weakening the Sea King to make his job easier. He could have taken all of the credit in the world, but he chose not to, and that amount of honor made this a very memorable moment for Saitama himself. Smashing into number 3, we have Saitama destroying the Meteor. For this to be number 3 took a lot of consideration, but when you factor in the magnitude of what Saitama accomplished, it's very impressive. Not only was the Meteor earth-threatening, but unlike Genos in his previous fight against the Sea King, Genos' full power attack had no effect on the Meteor itself. And typical Saitama, who can never catch a break, he is blamed for some of the destruction in the city, even though everything would have been wiped out regardless. It reminds you of the reality that Saitama lives in, the fact that he can save the day and yet get blamed for what he did. Closing out our runner-up for number 2, we have Saitama's fight against Boros. It's hard not to include this moment. In it, we got a chance to see Saitama show some real excitement in a fight. Yes, Saitama was holding back so much that it wasn't even funny. But what made this one of Saitama's best moments was Boros himself. Boros gave everything he had in the fight. He even sent Saitama to the moon! Yet, Saitama just came back and defeated him effortlessly with one punch when he actually wanted to defeat him, destroying an entire alien invasion in the process. Yet the truth to the story is that Boros was just like him. He too spent his life looking for a challenge, and he met one and didn't even stand a chance. This shows you how powerful Saitama actually is, and the magnitude of this fight itself puts this moment at number 2. And finally, for our number 1 moment, I have Saitama vs Crab-Lante. Now I know that this is going to be shocking for lots of people, but hear me out. When you look at all of Saitama's fights, with a small slight exception of Boros, he's never really tried a bit against his opponents. And when you look at Crab-Lante, this was before Saitama was as strong as he was, and Saitama was trying to defend a kid while he wasn't even properly trained yet. In this scene, you saw tension. You saw a man who was truly trying to be a hero, and you saw a guy who was doing everything in his power to win the fight. This was shown with him literally pulling Crab-Lante's eye out. He was a hero before he could be a hero, and that coupled with the fact that this was a very graphic scene, along with the desperation that Saitama showed, made this my number 1 moment. And think about this. If Saitama just easily defeated Crab-Lante with one punch, would it really have had the same effect? No, and that's why I think that this should definitely have been considered for number 1. But before I close off this video, I figured that I should discuss 3 honorable mentions. One of the honorable mentions is Saitama's training sequence with Genos. Initially, this scene actually reminded me of a famous Dragon Ball scene where we see Goku training with Gohan in the hyperbolic time chamber, and Gohan wants Goku to actually go all out even if it kills him. However, in this case, Saitama kindly demonstrates how easily he could defeat Genos if he truly wanted to, by stopping his punch right in front of his face. Next on my list of honorable mentions is Saitama's explanation of how he got so strong. This was much more of a comical scene. To think that he did 100 push-ups, sit-ups, and squats along with a 10-kilometer run over time to get that strong is crazy. But this scene was hilarious as you actually get a chance to see Saitama's struggles as he trained so hard that he actually lost his hair. And last for my honorable mentions, it would have to be Saitama's death stare. Before Saitama confronted Seaman, he spoke with the Hero Association about the situation and closed the conversation on the phone with a look so badass that I'm actually going to use that image for my thumbnail. So guys, that has been my video for today. Overall, I have loved One Punch Man Season 1 along with the manga, and I look forward to more. I'd love to hear all of your thoughts in the comment section below as to which Saitama moments you find the best for Season 1. So with everything else said, please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. And remember, as I always say, to have a great day, guys. And for our hashtag of the day, I have Hashtag Saitama the Boxer. Yes, I know it's corny.